Hi there, I'm Allison Moon, and welcome to day 59 of 90 Days of Self-Publishing. Today I want to take a moment to address something that has been happening on the interwebs lately. There was a blog post a couple days ago in Genreville, which is a blog part of Publishers Weekly, of two people who basically shared the story of how an agent had told them if they wanted to get published or represented by this agent, that they needed to change the point of view of one of their gay characters. They actually had to eliminate their point of view from the story and eliminate any kind of gay inklings that might be in the book, which obviously caused such a fervor because of the very deep offensiveness of that. And I wanted to share my own experiences when I started pursuing traditional publishing. Now, I was blessed in some ways because I had no interest really in going the big route. My book I knew was not going to be a Harper teen kind of book. So I wasn't pursuing the very large markets in earnest. I was actually pursuing specifically gay and lesbian and feminist publishers. So obviously I wasn't running into that issue. Another issue, though, was that my book was it's not only having gay characters kind of thrown in, it's actually thematically about lesbian sexuality, and so it wouldn't even be a possibility for me to change the sexuality of my main character and have it be the same book at all. So definitely I didn't have anybody explicitly ask me to do that. However, I did at some points talk to some of the larger publishers, and they said a couple of things about how my book just wouldn't really sell large enough for them to make it worth their while. And this is a kind of a reasonable argument, as much as I hate to say it, because when you're talking about huge publishers, and I talk about this a little bit in my self-publishing manifesto, these large publishers, they're not just trying to support the cost of your book, they're trying to support the cost of running a company, and that's why sure things need to be bought in order for these publishing companies to feel safe. There's not a lot of literary fiction being bought these days. There's not a lot of queer fiction. There's not a lot of African-American fiction or anything that's kind of considered to be niche, because they want to cast as wide a net as possible, and unfortunately the wide net that they see is straight white people. So that's very much where I came from, and it became really clear to me that self-publishing was not necessarily a necessity, but really more my style because of this, because I knew that I would be getting a lot of people pushing back, not because my book wasn't worth reading or worth writing or that people wouldn't really love it, but specifically because I knew that my book wouldn't be sexy enough to people who keep their eyes on a bottom line, and that's just the truth. So that's my experience with it. Now, as I've been trying to market my book, I've been running into a little bit more discrimination. I've definitely run into some discrimination around the fact that I've self-published my book. That's to be expected. I think there's still a lot of behind-the-times-ness around the way people use their filters, and at the same time, people have to draw a line in the sand somewhere, and I don't think it's particularly horrible to say, if you're already deluged with book submissions, that you won't accept self-published books. That's reasonable. I also did experience a couple of people who review either paranormal romance or urban romance or urban fantasy, who said that they absolutely will not review lesbian books unless the lesbian scenes are easily skippable, which to me is ridiculously offensive, to think that anybody would review a book only if they can skip the parts that they find unappealing. That was actually the hard part for me, is the idea that people won't review my book because it has lesbian content, as if somehow you're going to catch the gay by reading it. But of course, guy on guy or guy on girl threesomes are fine, but it's the girl on girl without a penis in the room that's a problem. So that's a little bit frustrating, and again, it's the world. It's, haters gonna hate. It's the way it happens, and there's a certain thick skin that one needs to develop to become a published author of any kind. My hope is that when people have negative opinions of my work, is actually based on my work, rather than based on some ideas of what quality my work is because it's been self-published, or what quality it is because it has lesbian sex. So, hopefully most of the haters are going to hate on me for good reasons, and not before they meet me, but that's not going to happen. It's the internet. There are a lot of assholes on the internet. So anyway, that's kind of my little thoughts on the LGBT situation. I obviously know that there are plenty of really awesome people of all sexualities who like to read all sexualities, and that you don't have to be a certain gender or certain sexuality to appreciate the point of view in a story of a certain gender or sexuality. I read books to expose me to different world experiences if I wanted to only hear about myself, I would only watch my own YouTube videos. So I absolutely encourage people to explore expand their minds through exploring fiction of protagonists that aren't like you. It's amazing. It's one of the most eye-opening ways to explore the world. So that's it. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow.